Service to your sisters, brothers, is a blessed way to live. Try to see the light in others, emphasize the positive. What a joy to live amidst of harmony and love and peace. They are free, our hearts radiant. They are giving never cease. Service to your sisters, brothers, is a blessed way to live. Try to see the pleasure in others, emphasize that my truth. Service to your sisters, brothers, emphasize that messages. Service to your sisters,
Om Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyaama Devaha Bhadram Pashye Makshabhirya Chatraha Sthairairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, O gods, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. O ye adorable ones, may we see with our eyes what is auspicious. May we sing praises to ye and enjoy with strong limbs and body the life allotted to us by the gods. Om, peace, peace, peace. True love is selfless, seeking only the good of the other person and transforming both individuals in the process. True love is selfless, seeking only the good of the other person and transforming both individuals in the process. It also requires seeing them beyond their flaws and everyday habits to see their whole selves. It also requires seeing them beyond their flaws and everyday habits to see their whole selves. Thomas Merton. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. Back to Hollywood after a long time. Today's topic, I think it's a very important topic. We rarely discuss about human relationships. We take it for granted that, we have a spiritual life and it's me. I sit down in my meditation every morning and just think of God and that's it. But we all know how difficult it is when it comes to interacting with each other. So today the topic is the art of healthy relationships. And why not? We are celebrating Kali Puja tomorrow, and it's a very auspicious occasion to reflect on how inner transformation, how working with our limitations, all our egotistic behaviors and selfish behaviors. It's an opportunity to find inspiration in Kali so that she gets rid of that, all those limitations, so that she destroys those limitations born of our ego. So we need to confront our inner darkness, all the fear, anger, attachment, and ignorance that poisons our relationships. By working with ourselves, helping ourselves understand our human constitution will help us engage in healthier relationships. Jai Kalima. So the arts of healthy relationships. Why? Well, in life, relationships are inevitable. We can't really avoid relationships. We are always relating to something from the moment we are born, and maybe before we are born, we are relating to the world. Our mother is already talking to us, connecting with us when inside the womb. We cannot escape the world. It's going to be there wherever we go. Relating to the world, it's inevitable, and it's also a necessity. We can't escape the world with its complex relationships, sometimes pleasant, and other times not so much. We also have to relate with the reality of nature. The beautiful nature, the sky, the earth, nature in general. The sun, the stars, the forces that govern the universe. Beyond these relationships, also, if there is a God, a universal unifying force, we all have the concept of and the idea of God. And therefore, we also have to relate to that idea. Certain relationships we find are inevitable, and certain relationships we can avoid in our life. Do you think? In those relationships that are inevitable, we need to stay alert and know how to relate without being bound, without falling into traps. We are living in times where we find a lot of social fragmentation, digital disconnection, and absence of values. We must be aware we need to have healthy relationships, quality relationships in our lives that align to our values and goals. Understand what is good for our spiritual growth, because it's a choice. We must take the right choices. So, as you all know, there are certain relationships that are more troublesome to us. Naturally, we all feel attracted to certain people, and we don't know why. We simply don't want to be around some other people. Why is that? Even among the spiritual community, sometimes that happens. I would like to classify relationships into two types. One that is dispensable or able to be replaced, and the other one that is indispensable or irreplaceable relationships. What do we mean by irreplaceable relationships? Well, we all have a mother, we all have a father, we have sisters and brothers, siblings. Can we replace them? They are what they are. They are part of our lives. We are born in a family, and there is nothing we can do about it. If you are a son or a daughter, the relationship between you and your parents is not replaceable. You cannot replace your mother or your father. The fact of you being born to these parents is already established. It's already a fact. And therefore, as an individual, we all have an indispensable relationship with our parents. Similarly, if one has a brother or a sister, that's also an indispensable relationship. We cannot alter the fact of our being brothers or sisters. Now, dispensable relationships, on the other hand, are relationships that can be replaced. What are those relationships? Well, neighbors, friends, maybe, employer, employee, and why not husband and wife? Yes, I'm not supporting that, but these days these relationships kind of like seem to be dispensable as well. We have to distinguish the dispensable from the indispensable relationships. Besides people, we are related to our own physical body, to our own mind, our senses, and it is not a dispensable relationship. We have a relationship with ourselves, as we are. As long as we are alive, we are indispensably connected to all of them, whether we like it or not. Now, most relationships are rooted in psychological dependence. We seek validation, security, and emotional fulfillment from others, believing that our happiness clings on their approval, on their presence or behavior. This dependence inevitably leads to fear, control, resentment, and disappointment. Can we free ourselves from such relationships? If they all beget bondage, somehow. Again, we seek validation, security, and emotional fulfillment from these relationships, certain relationships, believing that our happiness depends on their approval, their validation, their presence, their behavior. Can we free ourselves from these kind of relationships? I believe relationships in life are very important because I think they are like desires. You know, in Vedanta, you might have heard or read that the goal is annihilation of desires. At the same time, can we annihilate all our desires? Is it possible? We can't live without desire. We are desiring all the time. So therefore, desire is not bad. What is bad? Binding desires, those desires that bind us to attachment, expectations. In the same way, we have relationships. Mm-hmm. And relationships can also bind us, can also make us a slave if we depend on them for our happiness. Now, if I am placed in a situation I can't avoid without experiencing pain in my heart, without being hurt, definitely those relationships are binding relationships. Let's see if we can avoid them, if we can set boundaries to relationships that are inevitable and not healthy. Because as long as they are healthy, as long as there is love, mutual love and respect and understanding, everything is fine. However, even then, you run into certain limitations or some expectations. On the other hand, we need to understand when we cling to a relationship for our happiness, when you depend on someone for your sense of well-being, you are not relating, you are clinging to that person. The demands for either getting rid of or for attracting a relationship deals with something that is ingrained, is part of us. In Vedanta, in Sanskrit, we call it raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. As I always say, these likes and dislikes shape our personality. I know in Vedanta we say we are divine beings, having a human experience, but as long as we live in a human body, we are identified with it. And that's based on our personality. If I ask you, who are you? You will start quoting, well, I was born under this sun or moon, under the sign of, Cancer or whatever. And therefore I'm like this, I'm like that, I like this, I don't like that. I absolutely love this and I hate something else. That's who you are. A bunch of likes and dislikes, right? And we are doing this, trying to find ourselves, trying to know ourselves, who we truly are, divine beings, always present, always conscious, unchanging. Why do we change? Because we embrace our thoughts, because we embrace what we believe. That's why we keep changing. There is uniqueness, individuality about each one of us that is determined by our personal or by our own likes and dislikes. We are unique. And what happens when you find somebody who is sort of like you? You share the same likes and dislikes. Boom, there is a match. Is it always perfect? Things can get complicated. I'm not talking about a loving or a love relationship. Even in a community, we have that problem. And even enlightened beings, wise people, have their personal preferences. We see that in the life of saints like Sri Ramakrishna. They carry their own personalities as long as they live in that human body. Is it true? Yeah. Look at yourselves. You can't avoid that. We also have our own ideas or concept of people based on our likes and dislikes. Ideas and concept of people. Based on our likes and dislikes, we judge. We judge others. We interpret the world and even God, the idea of God himself, in terms of our likes and dislikes. Oh, I like Durga more than Kali. Oh, I love Shiva. Oh, I like this saint that is not from, our teachers, our traditions. No problem. You can like Ramana Maharshi, no problem. The truth is, we can't avoid relating. In this world, in our lives, we just can't avoid relating. See how important it is? We can never live a life unrelated except when we are asleep. In sleep, we are not related to this world. and its situations. We are not related to our mother and father, much less we are related to time and space. Sometimes we sleep for 5, or we dream for 5 minutes and we feel like it was a whole life. Just like our lives, our present lives. In fact, we die to all forms of relationships when we are either completely asleep or in a state of a coma. That's the only moment where we die to all sorts of relationships. However, as soon as we wake up, either to our dream world or to the waking state world, we are related. In dream, we are related to the dream world. We entertain what's going on in our dreams, a world that is no better than the one that our reality shows us every day. Sometimes even worse, or sometimes not. There again, there are some people whom we choose to be with. Some we want to avoid, even in dreams. Certain situations we like to have. And sometimes when we are conscious that we are dreaming, we are able to change situations in our dreams. Oh no, I don't like this. Let me change it for something else. I wish we could do that in our, daily experience. Unfortunately, we can't. Again, in dream, we find there are fears, anxieties, cravings, longings, joys, and sorrows. So whether we are awake to this physical world or to our own memories, we are individuals relating to certain situations. This is how life is. This is how life presents itself. Do you agree? Have you ever thought about it? We are here among other people. We are individuals, not born alone, but born related, inevitably. The question is, can I be free of these relationships? Can I be free in relating? As long as one has likes and dislikes, unfortunately, we can't be free of any relationship. And this is very simple. As I said before, what we are in terms of our human identity. What are we? A bunch of likes and dislikes. Attraction and repulsion. When I relate to people with my likes and dislikes, it means that the likes and dislikes are my idea of myself. One can never give up one's preferences at will and then relate to another. If I give up my likes and dislikes, perhaps nobody will like me. Because we are attracted to what we like, and we reject what we don't like. People like me because they think that I have some likes and dislikes which agree with their own. Nobody likes a person who has no likes and dislikes, who is like a stone. When I relate to a person, definitely he or she cannot be an inert object. The human being whom I relate to is not merely breathing a breathing conscious being, but a person who breathes life, a person who has certain likes and dislikes, who is the personality, who has individuality. These are the people who I interrelate with, and this interrelation is what we call relationships. Therefore, when I relate to someone, somebody, I am definitely going to bring into that relationship my likes and dislikes. Is it clear? Now, what do we do? Do you think that there is a perfect combination of likes and dislikes among all of us, or even between us? No. Therefore, conflict, unhealthy relationships, toxic relationships. It is very important for us to understand this, because if we are not alert in our spiritual life, sometimes we think like being a goody-goody person, makes me spiritual enough, and that's not true. Sometimes we need to set boundaries. Sometimes we need to understand that we all have our limitations. And we need to first look into our own. We must understand relating is inevitable. And while relating, I am going to bring out my individuality, having my own personal likes and dislikes. It often happens to us that we like a person without any reason, or otherwise we dislike a person without any reason. In this way, I am attracted to someone, while I don't seem to care about another person. It is clear that the person I relate to can either fulfill or not fulfill my likes and dislikes. But one thing is true, as I said before, nobody can fulfill these two completely. It is impossible. Why? Not even God. Because we keep changing. Today we like this, tomorrow we dislike this. Today I want somebody to be this way, tomorrow it's boring. I'm done. I need a change. When we establish relationships that cannot meet our likes and dislikes completely, they are all going to fall into what we call binding relationships. And that's where the alert sound comes out. They will all fall short in some way or another, and inevitably they will bring tension, possible conflicts, unless, of course, we learn how to manage their likes and dislikes or my own likes and dislikes. Definitely, we start with our own. We start acknowledging our own limitations. When certain likes and dislikes are met with, you like a person, you love that person, but there are always certain things that I'm not very happy with, or I wish he or she were different. He never listens, or she never listens. He doesn't like to get up early in the morning to meditate or whatever. Can you shape your perfect partner? Can you shape your perfect friend? Is it possible? No. So stop doing it. Stop thinking you can do that, because you can't. Now, if you don't like that person at all, then there is no problem. Away with you. I don't care. Whether you are there or not, doesn't affect me. Of course, it's not an indispensable relationship, because whether you like it or not, your father will be always your father, and so your sister or brother. That's the problem when you are entangled with a very close relationship you can't avoid. If you totally like the person and meets all your requirements and expectations, then again, there is no problem at all. When do I face the problem? The problem arises when I like this person very much, but. There is always a but. Now, how are we going to relate to this person? Do you think all our likes and dislikes will simply disappear all of a sudden? When we care about a relationship, what are we going to do with our likes and dislikes? Part of our nature, part of our personality. I know you keep promising, I will change. I'm sorry. You keep coming back to your old habits. No matter what. And then another chance, and then conflict. And the relationship gets a little eroded. In that case, do you think all your likes and dislikes can disappear? Only when you are in deep sleep. Only when you become a Siddha, a perfect being, or a Buddha. Not in our case. So we all have issues, and we have a problem in our spiritual life, in our community life, in our daily life, with the people we live with. And guess what? Spirituality is not just, in an enclosed room where you just close your eyes and repeat the name of God. Spirituality needs to be shown with your actions, your dharmic actions, your dharmic thoughts, your words. That's true spirituality. You don't call yourself a spiritual simply because you are wearing either a robe or nice colors or feathers, or because you carry some kind of pendant or something. Unless one handles one's likes and dislikes properly, attractions and aversions, there is neither freedom in relationships, nor is there a way of escaping from relationships in this world. Is it clear? Unless one handles one's likes and dislikes properly, there is neither freedom in relationships, nor is there a way of escaping from relationships in the world. I know it's kind of, it's heavy, huh? We thought we had to figure it all out. But It's not so easy. Now the question is, how am I going to handle these likes and dislikes? Is there a way to work with my likes and dislikes? What do you think? Yeah. If we are sincere. If we are true. Of course, I cannot just pick one of my likes and another of my dislikes and remove them. It's not that easy. I cannot respectfully invite them to be out of me. Please, I don't like you. Or, why do I like you so much? They shape us. They are our personality. They are our individuality with all those fears and anxieties. This is who I am. I know, with Aham Brahmasmi, right? But in our daily life, you know what happens. No matter how much you repeat the mantra, you're like, why did she do that? You know? So then what is the way? Is to fulfill them all. Is that possible? No. If such is the case, then people need to change. And will they change? If I want to fulfill all my likes and dislikes, then not just people, everything needs to change. No. It's a fantasy that I can shape someone the way I like, the way I want. Because it's not just me. We all have likes and dislikes. You can claim that of me too. Hey, I don't like you. You should change too. That's what happens in a relationship, right? Can you change your wife or your mother-in-law? Difficult. Therefore, how am I going to fulfill my likes and dislikes without changing people? On the other hand, we have the situation that others want us to change as well. They can neither change nor they can fulfill my likes and dislikes. There are even situations in life that can behave the way I want. Obviously, we can't control everything. We wish there were no wars, but just read the news. There are lots of things in the world that I want them to be different. I wish things could change by my simply wishing things were different. But as you know, not possible. Not even with my efforts. So what is the solution? How do I deal with these forces of attraction and repulsion that shape my personality, that shape who I am? You ready? This is how we do it. There is no way of dealing with these likes and dislikes unless I understand something else. I need to understand something else about me. A better understanding, better appreciation of the whole seems to be necessary in order to manage these two forces and thereby be free from relating. In a relationship, certainly I'm going to be conditioned, limited, suffocated and governed by these forces. Therefore, I want the other person to accept me the way I am. I want other people to accept me the way I think, as I am, as I do. Mutual acceptance is therefore a common expectation in a relationship. Does it happen? Rarely. Unless there is, of course, clarity. Mutual acceptance is expected. Then we have the communication problem. How do I communicate that? Many relationships break not because people do not love each other, but because it is impossible to communicate with each other. Does it happen to you? Has it ever happened to you? Yeah. How? Well, it's difficult to communicate. Using the right words at the right time, the right meaning, the right intention. What if the person refuses to understand? What if the person refuses to talk? People remain as they are. Why? Because one's capacity to communicate is limited by one's limitation, one's own limitation in terms of skills, as well as by one's freedom. The more one understands this, the more sensitive one becomes. One cannot be sensitive to another person unless one understands oneself very well. One's own limitations, skills, and feelings of not being enough. It's okay. We can't be completely perfect, you know. In that imperfection, we find perfection in this world. Otherwise, what happens if you don't become sensitive? We don't become sensitive to one another. We become proud, aggressive, expecting everyone to behave according to my own will, my own norms and values. Is that healthy? So we better start feeling for each other. One expects that the whole world should behave according to my wishes, but nobody's bad. It is lack of understanding, not about them, but about my own self. We need to understand our limitations, and we need to understand our freedom too. First, if we understand our limitations very clearly, then we will find there is certain appreciation of the other person. Only when we know our limitations is when we can understand other people's limitations as well. In a relationship, all that is required is understanding. And that understanding is impossible without first understanding myself. Everything that happens to you, you, I. Everything that happens to you happens to me. So first, you need to understand why things happen to you. Why do you have your likes and dislikes? Why do you cling so much to feed on those two forces? Then you will understand other people. Then you will be compassionate. You will show empathy. In a relationship, all that is required is understanding, and that understanding is impossible without understanding ourselves. It takes that understanding of myself so that I can understand another person. Unless we accept our limitations, we cannot accept others. That is why a saint can be approached by an offender. Any kind of offender. Any number of times, the saint will be a saint. He will be kind. You've seen that, you've read that in the life of Sri Ramakrishna with Girish Ghosh, Girish Chandra Ghosh. He was a Bengali playwright. Was known for his love for Sri Ramakrishna, but due to his habits, he used to insult Sri Ramakrishna quite often. You can read his life, a book by Swami Dhyanayogananda. In one incident, Girish abused with a strong language Sri Ramakrishna when he was drunk. And some of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples got really upset. But Ramakrishna remained undisturbed. Even when you read it in the Gospel, sometimes you go like, whoa, in his life. It's like, whoa, is he not going to do anything about it? He keeps quiet. We have neither control nor understanding of our words, nor of our ways of thinking. And yet we want to relate to another person, to understand that person. How can we do that? How can there be any kind of love? How can there be appreciation of each other? There cannot be unless we see our own limitations very well. When one's mind and everything about it is very clear to oneself, one understands that the other person has his or her own limitations. Then one finds there is dialogue, there is appreciation, there is love, mutual love. I learned this in my personal life. I learned this from a Swami. I used to react a lot, naturally, like all of us. He said, wait. We all have our limitations. Look into your limitations first. Try to understand that is common. Once we accept that, then we can deal with each other. And we can make choices, whether you want to keep that relationship or not. There is no way of coping with one's likes and dislikes because nobody on this earth is going to fulfill all the likes and dislikes, not even God. No one. Our minds keep changing, and no situation will fully complete us. Nobody is going to fulfill our likes and dislikes completely. We must understand this very well. Don't dream of the perfect one if you are looking for a relationship. Once this is clear, then we can relate happily. That's the way. I never want them to fulfill my likes and dislikes, so there is no frustration. It is only when we are able to appreciate our limitations, our incapacities to fulfill these two forces in us, that we can understand, with reference to a relationship, that the other person, with his likes and dislikes, and with their incapacities to fulfill them. Then only you will find there is a relationship that can last forever. You like that, huh? We all like the forever. You didn't think that it was possible, huh? Why should this relationship break? It will flow. Understanding one's own limitations and somebody else's limitations. If we care about it, if there is mutual respect, it is possible. When you are appreciative of your limitations and you are appreciative of other people's limitations, why should any relationship break? It can never break. That's the secret. I do not want a scorpion to be kind. I do not want a snake to be kind. What do? Just move away. Everyone carries its own nature. You stay away from the snake. Similarly, when I see a person whom I am related to, whose likes and dislikes are too powerful to handle, I can move away. You can do that, you know that? It's okay. You can move away and you can be free. That's healthy, because you have your own limitations, and due to that, you're unable to deal with that person's limitations. Therefore, you make a decision. Just as I do not go near the snake or play with it. In the same way, without any remorse or bitterness in my heart, continuing to appreciate people's limitations, I can let people be where they are, remain where they are, with respect, with love, and distance. Does it make sense? Yeah. Because whether you like it or not, people feed on you. Some people take advantage of our limitations and they feed on that. Were you aware of that? Instead of feeding from within, they feed on other people's limitations. Love will abide only when there is understanding. Understanding accommodates everything. What understanding? That whatever I experience is also happening to all of us. So first, I need to understand these two forces and how they work within me. Then once I accept it, I have my limitations. I'm not perfect. That's my karma, you may say. The Hindus call it karma. And therefore you are able to accept somebody else. Any relationship involves understanding. This is true relationship. Such relationship is wonderful simply because it's supported by freedom. Freedom. You don't want to change somebody else. You don't want to put conditions on somebody else. I love you provided you do this or that. That is not true love. Relationship itself, in Vedanta, are considered to be a sadhana. When we pay attention to our own limitations, we project our own in somebody else. And that's how we learn about ourselves. When you start criticizing others, that's because that seed is within you. So that's how you work and you perfect yourself. by discrimination. And by dispassion. You have to stop clinging to relationships to make you happy. And pretending people to make you happy. Do not seek happiness in relationship, but seek clarity. If you find clarity, happiness will follow. The healthiest relationship one can cultivate is the one with oneself. And from that inner harmony, all relationships flourish. The solution to rational problems lies not in changing others, but in understanding oneself. The arts of healthy relationship, therefore, is not about mastering others, but mastering oneself. Freeing the mind from unrealistic expectations, emotional demands, and the illusion of incompleteness. You well know that nothing outside in this world can give you completeness. You can only find that within you. In doing so, we discover that the greatest gift we can offer another is our own freedom, our own self-mastery, our own sincerity. When you are free, in awareness of your own limitations, the relationship is free. You stop clinging, you stop expecting, you accept. And you can work it out, provided there is mutual respect and love. Nothing is perfect. But it is possible. True love is selfless, seeking only the good of the other person and transforming both individuals in the process. Seeking the good, you sacrifice for the other. It also requires seeing them beyond their flaws and everyday habits to see their whole selves. This is a quote from Thomas Merton. Is it clear now how relationships are so important in our spiritual life? In our spiritual lives, relationships are inevitable, just like our desires. Now what do? Oh, I don't desire a cup of coffee. I'm thirsty, but I will pretend that I'm not. I'm cold, but I will pretend that I'm not. Is it possible? So with relationships. And we need to learn how to deal with them. And the only way to do it, or to keep a healthy relationship, is to understand my own limitations. In doing so, I can understand somebody else's limitations, based on our likes, so many times repeated in this lecture, and our dislikes. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami Dhyanayogananda ji,
Of course.
for your very thought-provoking talk. Next week, our speaker will be Swami Medhananda, and his topic, Karma and Rebirth, Arguments for and Against. And as our speaker mentioned, tomorrow night is our annual worship of Divine Mother, Kali. The worship begins at 10 p.m. and goes until about 3 a.m., after which prasad will be served. We will have valet parking service, so don't be afraid about finding parking. And we look forward to seeing many of you tomorrow night. Perhaps some of you would like to offer a little service during the worship ceremony. There's opportunities for service, especially washing pots in the kitchen. And then we have coming up the following Saturday, though we're not supposed to talk about it because Mother hasn't come yet, and after the worship we immerse the image in the ocean, as you know, and so, but still we have to mention it for organizing. The Kali immersion will take place. We take Mother's image and lovingly send her off back to the formless in the ocean. Now, perhaps you know that the space is limited on the boat, so we are going to be sending out an email shortly, and there'll be a sign-up going live at an announced time, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and those who can sign up, that's our plan as to how to, in an egalitarian way, allow for people to sign up.
Vesper is at 5.
Oh, right. On Monday evening, our evening prayer, Arati Vespers, is at 5 p.m. to give us an extra hour for preparing for the worship. If this is your first time here, most welcome. We do this every Sunday. We have a bookshop, and after the talk, the Swami will go to the living room right next to the bookshop and be available for questions and discussion. And there's some refreshments.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Well, I don't know you, but I find relationships very challenging in my spiritual life. So that's why I keep contemplating upon this. I hope it was useful. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that outer world is Purna, full of divine consciousness. This inner world is also Purna, full of divine consciousness. From Purna comes Purna. From the fullness of divine consciousness, the world is manifested, taking Purna from Purna. Purna indeed remains, because divine consciousness is non-dual and infinite. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you.
Go to the exit. Go is the music for leaving.